to another episode of Mentality Unchained. We're doing something different uh, with this episode. I have a co-host, Miss Lakeisha. Say hi, Miss Lakeisha.
Hi, everyone.
Good. We're doing something different because this is MLK weekend, and we have such a prestige for our culture. And one of the things we want to celebrate is NAACP, which have been a part of our community for many, many years. So today we're going to talk a little bit, just have a conversation about history, about culture, and about the movement. And so I wanted to bring Miss Rhonda. She's the president of NAACP. Miss Kavasia, she's Miss Juneteenth, and she's also a part of NAACP. And then also Mr. and Pastor Alvin White, which we're using his beautiful establishment to do this. And so we want to make sure that they are heard and understand the direction we're going. And so we want to thank everybody for joining us live. Please share your comments and chats into the chat bar, to the comment section, so we can ask some of those questions that you also want to know as we get into our discussion. So just Ms. Rhonda, why is this important for NAACP and for you personally?
Well, as the president of the Rockford Branch NAACP, I would just like to say that in honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Day, Dr. Martin Luther King mentioned in his speech, he spoke about change in his I Had a Dream speak. And he said that through these difficult times, and we're going through some difficult times, and in today's world, how I would describe Dr. Martin Luther King as a fine download.
Oh.
Because he put so much in our world for changes, for civil rights, for humans. So with this big discussion about COVID and how it changed people's life, I think Dr. Martin Luther King would say, wow, here we go again.
Wow.
I would like to bring up my first vice president, Felicia, and to speak on the COVID grant that we're using to sponsor this program. I think she's at the front table. Felicia?
Miss Felicia, where are you at? Miss Felicia hiding. So for the ones that don't watch my podcast, we just do whatever. You know,
Yeah.
we love to do it however we want to do it. So Miss Felicia, come on up and say a few things.
I just want you to speak on the COVID grant and how we're using it within our community and how we want to connect with everyone and other organizations. We believe in collaboration, so here you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we're using the COVID grant just to get information out to the communities and making sure that accurate information is being given. So many times we hear information and it's like, okay, what do you believe? So we want to make sure that accurate information is being portrayed by going to resources that like the CDC or the Winnebago County Health Department so that it's trusted. Because we know how you hear things, like for instance, the Damar Hamlin. I heard so many things, well, he got the COVID grant and that's why he went down for cardiac arrest. Well, we don't know if that's why he went down. So having accurate information can stop all of that. So we're looking at partnering with any organization that will help assist us in getting that information out.
We would also like to thank Pastor Allen and LaToya for letting us use your beautiful facility. And also your congregation have been very supportive. And I would like for Pastor to say a few words.
Good.
Well, it's an honor to be here today and to be with all of you this afternoon celebrating the weekend of MLK, right? And how important that is to America, especially the Black community, especially when we talk about history and it being taught correctly and succinctly and specifically and directly. And so making sure that our generation of young people that are coming up, making sure that they have the right understanding of what was actually said. Even through Dr. Martin Luther King, people can take things that were said and turn them and twist them a different way to drive in a certain agenda. Those are things that we want to make sure that we represent the man correctly. Amen? And so in that also, when we talk about how COVID affected the black community, especially, we want to make sure that those things are a great dialogue is around that, because it's a huge impact. So we appreciate being here. We appreciate everybody being here. We're very grateful and thankful to be hosting this event, and we look forward to just being a part of it. Thank you.
I would also like to say thank you to Kavasia for working very hard and putting this together. So please give her a hand. We have to grab our youth and pull them up and make sure that they're leading. We can't always lead. We have to pass the torch.
Hello, thank you all for being here. My name is Kavasia Thomas. I go by many other different things, so you may have heard another name. But, so this event was inspired by COVID-19, of course. When I got back to Rockford, I joined NAACP, and we started working immediately. But I wanted to collaborate with them and share my own personal journey with COVID-19. I struggled with anxiety, and I began to really do some shadow work and dig deep inside myself to see what I was actually struggling with, to see what other people were struggling with, how we could help each other even if we don't have the same values, beliefs. It doesn't matter. I just realized that we're all human, we're all here, and we have a purpose, so we should help each other with that purpose. And one of my purpose was just to share with you all my art through anxiety, and I was able to connect to my ancestors through anxiety, which allowed me to put all of that together. So now my ancestors, my anxiety, and everything that I felt I was fearful of was now just, it was light for me. So I hope that everyone is able to bond through this conversation, and yeah, we'll have a good time.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys. For the ones that are here in the building, give them a hand. For the ones that are on live, you can clap on live as you can. So Lakeisha and I are going to kick this thing off. And again, I like to do things unorthodox. I just do it. And we have fun with it. And so this is really what we're going to do today. In speaking and talking and discussing about MLK, we want to make sure we shine the light on our youth, our communities, our culture, and the people. Lakeisha, is there anything you'd like to say before we start this thing off? Because I'm going to talk. I need you to talk with me now.
I know. I just want to thank Kavasia for allowing me to be here and the co-host. I'm very excited, and I'm ready to get things started.
All right. Well, we're going to bring up the woman of the hour that put this together, and we're going to get our panel up here, and we're going to get into some deep discussions. And so do we have any note cards or anything for anybody in the audience that may have a question that we can bring into the panel discussion? We don't have a script for this because I don't do scripts. We're just going to do what we do. So if we can just get some note cards, if anybody in the audience have any questions, anybody live, please type into the comment section your questions, your comments, and we'll get around to that. Okay. So Lakeisha, as we're getting Kavasia to come up here, what's your experience with MLK Day? Like, what's your most vivid memory of celebrating Martin Luther King?
Well, my family took it very seriously. Not only did we celebrate his day as Black History Month, it was every day, as far as my family was concerned. His vision, his legacy was very important to my family. So we basically tried to embrace the community. I had to volunteer at Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center back in Wilmington, Delaware. That was a mandatory event for everyone in our family. So that's what it means to me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to go ahead and get started with our panel, and we're going to have Ms. Kavasia do what she do.
Hello. So as Miss Juneteenth, I just wanted to welcome everyone to the program. We're going to get started. I want everyone to have the opportunity to feel without feeling like a lot of people are looking at you. Don't feel that way. Just allow yourself to be open to the experience. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with the person next to you if you feel like, having a conversation with that person. But this is just about being open. So I want to welcome the panel up. We have Trishida Wallington. We have Kanaya Parks. We have Kid Griffey, who is a local artist. Kanaya represents the NAACP. She is a graduating senior from Guilford High School. And Trishida Waddington, I do not want to mess it up. She is a qualified intellectual disabilities professional. And then we have John Stanford over here on the keys. You're going to go first anyway. So John is going to bring us in. Feel free to, Rhonda, are you coming up? Okay. And we have President Rhonda coming up. But John is going to bring us in with a beautiful selection, so feel free to celebrate with us.
All right, just because it's Martin Luther King Day, I think it's only fitting that I start off first giving honor to my God. So I'm going to do a gospel selection, and then after that, I'm going to do an original selection. Couldn't seem to fall asleep. There was so much on my mind. I was searching for that peace, for the peace I could not find. But then I knelt down to pray. I was praying, help me please. Then he said, you don't have to cry, 'cause I'll supply all your needs. But as soon as I stopped worrying how my story ends, I let go and I let God. Said I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stopped looking at back then. When I let go and I let God. Said I let God have his way. There was so much going on, and sometimes I couldn't find my way, and oftentimes I struggle. Said I struggle from day to day. I had to realize that it's not my battle. Said it's not my battle to fight. I had to know if I put it in your hands that everything will be all right. But as soon as I stopped worrying how my story ends, then I let go and I let God. Said I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stopped looking at back then when I let go and I let God. Said I let God have his way. Sometimes you gotta let go and let God. Oh, let go and let God. Take whatever you got going on and let go and let God. Oh, let go and let God. Soon as I stopped worrying how my story ends, then I let go and I let God. Said I let God have his way. Oh.
Wow. Y'all don't want to hear me do that, right? I can't do that. Well, now it's time to get a little serious and have a discussion about a pandemic that is still going. It's not over yet, and so I kind of want to start off by just doing the check-in. So I can't speak without speaking about the struggles of mental health. Because I'm a psychotherapist and a traumatologist, I focus on mental health. And so when we're gonna talk about COVID, I just want to check in with everybody. How y'all doing?
Yeah, how are everybody doing on the panel?
You haven't caught it yet? How are y'all mentally? Let's check in mentally. How you doing, Kavasia?
I would say I'm about a 7 out of 10. And that's just, stressing too much. Yeah, stressing too much. But I'm honest about it, and I take it one day at a time, and maybe tomorrow will be a 10 out of 10. But
Gotcha. What about you, John?
I would say I got like mixed emotions. Like, I'm grateful that I haven't caught it, but I have to like acknowledge that there are a lot of people who like lost their lives, lost their businesses, lost their jobs or whatever it may be, lost their sanity. But for me, I guess I'm gonna speak selfishly. It gave me a lot of time to work on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was able to like have a job to where I wasn't really working in person. And, my employer not here, so I wasn't really working. I wasn't really working, so I was able to like do music. So like I wasn't into music before COVID. So COVID brought me to like my love. Wow. So I'm grateful for COVID because it gave me the opportunity to like, open up my horizons as to what I can do with my life, with my time, because I think 40 hours a week we got so consumed into like giving our souls and giving our energy to these organizations that only fund our pockets to do what we love to do, but we never have time to like explore those areas. So COVID gave me love, gave me life, but I also acknowledge that it did bring a lot of loss to a lot of people. So it's kind of like night and day. Like I acknowledge that there is things going on, but at the same time, I thank God for like the life that it granted me. Because I think without COVID, I would have been stuck in 9 to 5, regular work. Where now I'm living my life. Yeah, I'm talking, I'm ready to talk. I don't know about y'all.
Well, since you're ready to talk, let's just share that mic just for a little bit. Just for a little bit. Okay. Get another battery ready for Mr. John. Ms. Rhonda, how you doing?
I am doing well. COVID changed my mindset. It changed me where I was so used to routine. Get up, run to the gym, run home, get ready for work. And it changed that where I couldn't do that. So I had to get up, go for a walk, go for a run. And it was like really weird because I'm running and I'm looking at the people across the street. And if they see me coming on their side, they would go on the opposite side. So everyone had this fear with COVID. And it brought out a lot of evilness. And it really made people calm down and think about their lives and the direction that they were going. Yeah. And they could revamp or repivot and turn and change their lives. So that's what COVID did for me. And I'm still in the midst of it. I still haven't gotten balance yet. Gotcha. I'm still trying to figure a lot of things out. So COVID changed me.
Oh, thank you. Trishida, what you got? You on? You don't want to be heard, do you? There you go.
There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. So I did catch COVID. Wow, it was a struggle. I lost my sense of smell, and when you lose your sense of smell, you pretty much lose everything else. So that was definitely a struggle. The pandemic overall was mixed emotions for me. It put a lot of strains on a lot of things. In the midst of that, I've also had social anxiety that grew bigger. So it was harder for me to interact with other humans, even though I really enjoy human interaction, but it just became more difficult with the way the world was changing. My mindset has changed a lot. I've done a lot of shadow work, still doing a lot of shadow work. And it's just progress. You know, I have some bad days, I have some good days. Still have a little bit of fear, but I don't let it like overcome me or anything like that. So I would say just mixed emotions, you know, just trying to get an understanding of everything.
Okay. Wow. I'm not gonna butcher your name, so just say it again so I can hear it again.
It's Kanaya.
Okay, Ms. Kanai, go ahead.
Okay. I would also say I have mixed emotions just because, like, when COVID started, I was a freshman in high school, and now I'm a senior. So I had to go through, like, the hard teenage years on top of COVID, and then I got anxiety. It was, like, terrible. My anxiety got really, really bad during COVID. Also just going through high school, especially at my school. I'm at Guilford, and I'm, like, during COVID and when we came back and they gave you the opportunity to be remote or come back in school, all the families, especially the black families that was at Guilford, they're like, we ain't going in there, we not doing that. So I was like one of the only black students really during COVID, so it's already hard being at Guilford, but during COVID, it was like 10 kids in the class and I'm the only black kid in all, you know, so it was really tough, but I think it helped shape me as the person that I am today, and I am very thankful. I also caught COVID like 3 times, but I'm healthy and I'm here, so I mean, I think
It's safe to
shaped me.
say that you got us all beat. 3 times? Absolutely. Is this Mr. Drip or Mr. Kid?
Kid.
Yeah, Mr. Kid. What's up, man? Go ahead.
I'm pretty good. So COVID was definitely a mixed emotion type thing. Went through a lot of hard mental things, trying to get out of depression and things like that, and not being able to talk to certain people or get to do certain things that I wanted to because of COVID. Yeah. It like kind of paused a lot of things, but at the same time kept some things moving forward and growing, like me working on my mental health and things like that. Like I've never actually thought about it as an importance, because it's like we're not supposed to show our emotions as men. Yeah. So being able to do that and grow out of that was definitely cool. I've had people who got sick from COVID and were in the hospital, things like that. So it definitely interrupted things, but at the same time, it did help me grow as a person.
Oh. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for sharing that. Ms. Lakeisha, how you doing?
Okay, well,
How you holding up through
I
this?
did catch COVID twice. The first time I caught COVID was, and I'm asthmatic, so it almost took me out of here. It was before COVID was COVID. No one knew of COVID. I was hospitalized. I had seizures. So when they finally said I was undiagnosed at OCF Hospital, they were scared of me. I was actually put off into a room by myself. Thank God I have a family of nurses who was making those calls. And finally, when the COVID came out, I was getting better. And thank God I was asthmatic. So I was getting the steroids and the treatments for my lungs, where a lot of other people didn't. And it's hard to talk about because it was, my family did not allow them to put me on a ventilator at all. They said, as long as I can breathe on my own, I was fine. So when after COVID came down, they had to test the whole staff. And I had infected probably about 4 or 5 nurses that was actually treating me. So that was my first bout with COVID. My second bout was when I had a home daycare at the time, and one of the children gave it to me. And I knew right away what it was, and it was a struggle for me. This is before vaccinations. So I struggled. I did not have the symptoms of no taste, couldn't smell stuff. Mine was strictly the congestion. So when they do say people who are high risk, I'm in that category. So I'm here. I struggled the second time I had it. The congestion lasts for 2 months. Yes,
Wow.
and I was on steroids constantly. So if you have asthma, please take precautions. I'm telling you from experience. So that's my bout. And because of COVID, I've never been a fearful person. Because of COVID, I am very fearful. I've always been a people person, talkative person. Now for some reason, I'm very conservative, very nervous when I speak to people. Because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, do they have COVID? So that's my experience with COVID.
Wow, wow. I will say this, guys, is I love this, to be honest with you, because of the honesty. Although we're talking about COVID as a mental health provider, I have to applaud everybody for what you just said and what you just did. Because a lot of people don't talk about anxiety or depression. And just like Kit said, is that we're taught to just get through it. And so for him to even go deeper into himself and to say, hey, I'm dealing with something that I don't know what it is right now. And so I really appreciate you sharing that, Kid, as a young black man, sharing that, because we struggle with expressing ourselves. So thank you, guys. Give yourselves a hand for expressing yourself. So as we get into this, then, let's talk about this anxiety and this depression. How are you guys handling it? What are you using to cope with that through this COVID period?
One of the first things I did was got a therapist.
Say that into the mic so people
I got
can
a
hear.
therapist. And that was probably the best thing I could have ever done, because I kept trying to figure things out on my own, on top of, okay, now I'm painting, all right, that's cool, that's helping my anxiety, but now I got anxiety about the painting. And then I'm going to do the music, and then I'm going to do the body movement. And even though I was doing all of the things, I still was hiding stuff from myself. Whoa. So once I got a therapist, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hide. I'm going to treat you like just a human journal or a best friend that I pay that don't judge me. So it was an amazing experience, but I still have my days. Like Lakeisha said, she's nervous when she talks to people. I can't even send an email without feeling anxiety, because I'm like, did I spell check this? Did I check the grammar? Am I saying y'all and all this stuff that I say? So it's a one day at a time thing for me. Like I said, it's constantly checking in with my therapist, checking in with my soul tribe, who I feel safe with, and really submitting to the vibrations of music and vibrations, period, so that I'm able to kind of heal myself and not always rely on certain things. So,
Kavasia, I have a question
oh,
for you.
okay.
You said you found a therapist, correct?
Yes.
Was it online or was it during the COVID or?
So it was during COVID, but my dad is a therapist, so I'm always just kind of popping up in the office when I visit home. At the time, I wasn't in Rockford, I wasn't living here, and I finally went to him and was like, "You think you can, sponsor my therapy?" And he said, "Sure." And ever since then, like I said, I've been much better than I was without a therapist. I'll say that. So I do recommend therapy.
And I will say to that, Lakeisha, Kavasia, yes, she's my daughter, but I have other kids, and I've tried to get therapists for all of them if they felt that they need it. And I think that's the conversation we need to open up is like, it shouldn't be stigmatized in the home, because as parents coming from the older generation, the seasoned generation, they may not believe in therapy per se. But to be able to give your kids that outlet, not to necessarily that say that they have something wrong, but to say this is an option. If you really need to go speak with someone that is not biased, because we're taught to love our kids. And so we're gonna say everything we need to say so they can feel loved. But they need to hear from the other side of it. And so me working in mental health gave me the opportunity, and I tell people this all the time, me being a therapist changed my mind, because I didn't know where, as a young person, where I was going in life. But being able to understand how people work and how I worked helped me to fast forward years or later to help so many other people understand themselves. So I open it up for my kids. I know a lot of people don't do that, but I did that for my kids because I thought it was important for them to hear another voice other than myself or my wife. John, go ahead. You was talking about the anxiety piece, dealing with trying to figure out who you were in the pandemic. Where did your anxiety come from? How did you deal with it other than music? What did you particularly do?
I'm gonna guess I wasn't like, I wouldn't say I had anxiety. I wasn't focused.
Okay.
I will say that. I was not focused. And what I mean by that, and can I speak freely?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm
gonna get you a battery, but yeah, you can speak
all right,
freely.
I'm gonna talk. So like in my regular day, I'm 26. I like to party. I was in a new city. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I was meeting a lot of people. I like to party. I was drinking a lot. I was smoking, just because, that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? I think I was 23 at the time. And so I'm like, oh, we lit. And I'm the life of the party sometimes. And so with that, COVID was like, all right, take that, stop it. And so it was like, okay, so I'm stuck with me.
Gotcha.
And even when I'm at the party, I'm still me. But it's just like, okay, you by yourself. And if you do have people around, or if you do reach out to people, or if people reach out to you, who is it? So it built my tribe. And so like that's kind of what helped me through COVID was my tribe, and also like my journal. I also journal. So like I do guided journals. And that's where it kind of like clicked, like, man, I love this music thing, and if I really want to do it, I got to put time and energy into it. I've got time now. Yeah. And I've got energy, but I'm not using it in the right way. Instead, I'm waking up and I'm like, wake and bake. Let me get on FaceTime with my friends. I'm hi, y'all, what's up? And so it's just like, let's take this energy and not use it to, I guess you could say, destroy myself, use it to empower myself. And so I put it back into myself in a positive way, finding those people that I actually want around me no matter what happens. I did break the law. Some friends came over. I did cook dinners. But it was the people that I love, the people that I was willing to say, if I do get sick, I won't even be mad at you because you got me sick. Why? Because I love you. Wow. And so it was like, it built that tribe, it built that reliance on what I love to be in my life and not just what I like to do.
You know what? You bring up a lot of things that a lot of people don't talk about. We always talk about the negatives of COVID, but we don't realize that COVID forced us to stop because we move so fast, and we always say, I need more time. Well, if you had 36 hours in a day, you'll feel that too. So no matter how much time we have, we always try to fill it. But you're saying that what happened, to you, it forced you to slow down and really like, okay, this is life, and you got to deal with it. Either you're going to deal with it with your smoking and your drinking, or you're going to deal with you, that inner person. And I love that. Ms. Trezada, what's up with you?
All right. So, my anxiety started really when I caught COVID because I was not only fearful for others because I was sick, but I was also fearful of others. Like, are you sick? Like, are you gonna make it worse? Because I caught COVID from a party. I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't get away. It was hard to just stay in the house. I couldn't do it. You know, I was a little rebellious. So yeah, my social anxiety started when I got sick, and like John said, I was stuck with myself. And it was just like, dang, like I've always worked in the medical field, the mental health field, and I'm always helping others. But I'm like, I can't even help myself, I feel like. So realistically, before I even got into therapy, we all know in this world we have to sacrifice. So before I even got a therapist, I was like, well, how am I gonna have the time for it? I don't have the money. I gotta work. I gotta pay these bills. So is there something else that I can do before I reach out to somebody else? And what that looked like was meditating, journaling, doing yoga, just taking one step at a time and doing breath work and really trying to understand what is it that I need to focus on? What is it that I need to do? How can I help better myself and just be a better everything, a better friend, a better sister, a better everything. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I did, you know, to help my anxiety. I don't really have anxiety too much more. I know when Kavasia invited me on this panel, I was like, ooh, girl, I don't know about speaking in front of all these people. But I feel fine, I feel great, and it's nice to just share my story and, you know, hopefully I can connect with others and, you know, we share some similarities and help each other out. So, yeah.
Shoot your shot.
So it's kind of, my journey is a little bit different because I already had anxiety like really bad before I started, like before COVID even hit. So when COVID hit, it was like very depressive. I was just so anxious. And really the person who like got me through it was my mom, because I was like having panic attacks all the time. I couldn't sleep. She couldn't leave because I had separation anxiety. And I'm in a high risk. My mom's in the high risk. So we were like, it was just crazy. And like, she just, you know, you have to go to counseling. Like, at first it was forced because like, I can't help you. Like, that's what she's like. She's like, I can't help you, but I can find someone that can help you. And really, just having that support system. I have a really supportive family, so they were like helping. We talked every day, even though we couldn't see each other. And it was tough, but like when my mom, she caught it and she had it for like, I would say like 8 months. She had to get thyroid surgery and everything from it. So it was really, really scary. And like when I caught it after her, I just like panicked, like, oh my God, is this gonna happen to me? What's next? And she kind of just like talked me through it. And when she seen that and like seen like every night I tried to go to sleep, I couldn't sleep because I'm having a panic attack about death, basically. And that's really what it was. And that helped me find my purpose in life, because I just felt like, I know everyone has to die, but it was me feeling like, what am I going to do? How do I serve my purpose before it gets to that point? I need to fulfill my purpose. I'm here for a reason. And that's really got me into where I'm at with the NAACP and where I do in the community, because I want to fulfill my purpose. So it helped me know, like, okay, you can sit and you can cry and wait, or you can go and you can do it, and you can you can fulfill that purpose, and then whatever happens, happens. So it helped me a lot.
Awesome, awesome. So let's get to the kid, because I'm very interested in how you deal with your depression. And I want to add a question on to what you're going to speak about. Is, did it change, did your depression speak differently in your music?
It definitely did. A lot of people don't know this, and I never really speak about it because I don't like really expressing myself, but I'm starting to get better at it. From the age of 21, I dealt with seizures. So that slowed me down before COVID. So with everything that I was already dealing with mentally, health-wise, having seizures, the moment COVID hit, it just made it a little worse because I was already an introvert and I didn't really like being around people at the same time because I was going through so much myself. Having a seizure every night, you don't want to be around people. You don't want to tell people what you're going through because you don't want people to feel sorry for you. So it was just a lot. So you go through a lot of depression when you're sitting there by yourself and you want to do things for yourself, even without the COVID or anything like that, just going through seizures in itself, wanting to do things for yourself and you can't. And it's like you try to work hard, you get jobs and things like that, and you keep losing them because you're having seizures at work. And then me being in the mindset that I was in as a young person, I didn't want to get on disability or anything like that because I felt like it was me asking for help or needing something from someone else when I feel like, oh, I'm strong enough to get through it myself, not knowing that this will take the lighter load off and then you can just really focus on the things that you need to focus on to get better and healthier. So when going through that and dealing with mental fights of, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna wake up in the morning? Do people actually care about me? Because it felt like I was alone for a long time, for a couple years when I was dealing with that. And it didn't feel like I had family that much. They were there, but it was like they were only there when the seizures and stuff happened. Anything else, it was like there's no how you doing or things like that. So it was like, I got kind of used to being like away from people before COVID hit. So when it happened, it didn't really give me anxiety or anything like that. And I wasn't really afraid of COVID because it was like dealing with everything I'm dealing with now. I already had the chance of dying. So it was like just fighting myself to actually become strong enough to see that, okay, this music is what's keeping you going. You not stressing and focusing on your future and what you can do to actually help others is what's keeping you happy and keeping you motivated to actually be like, okay, I'm not gonna let these seizures overcome. And so I got through that after 4 years and actually only went to the doctor like 4 times. So I basically got through it with God and myself. So it was like, it didn't give me anxiety or anything, but all of that stuff did change my music. It changed the way that I wrote. It changed the way that I envisioned certain things. I forgot a lot of things from the past because of seizures, so I definitely do not write the same as when I was 17, 18, when I first started and things like that. So it definitely changes you. The COVID just made it a little worse, I guess, because it was like some people had a reason to distance themselves. So it was like I don't know, seeing both ends of it, like not being able to get the support when I was going through things before COVID and then seeing that I still wasn't getting the same thing after COVID, but it was actually for a reason why I couldn't get those things. It's like, it makes you think a lot different. So it's like, it's a lot within it.
Wow. Wow. That is a lot, man. Thank you for sharing that because you didn't have to share that, but I thank you. I do have a follow-up question, but I know Keisha has something she wanted to ask you guys, so I'll let her go.
I know through my dilemma, I wanted to ask anyone, you said you had therapy, right? Did you do it, not you, but the other ladies. Did you do it from Zoom during the COVID, or did you go in to see someone? Because, you said your anxiety kept you away from people. So how did y'all, inquire, get therapy?
Mine was kind of both. Zoom is kind of like you start, or like over the phone, it will start. But if I needed to be in and needed to be seen, we'll like arrange for it. But most of the time, they were working from home, so that also is like very hard because like when you want to go and you need to be seen, it's like, okay, you can hear my voice, but you need to physically see that I'm like a wreck, and then so it was really hard and it was a battle, but. I don't know, that's when you kind of, like, I feel like the beginning of it was, like, just the talking through and then doing a lot of stuff on your own. You just have, like, a coach, someone coaching you through it. And then as we got through COVID and, like, started with the mask and, like, you can come into the office, it was a little bit better because I can choose. If I'm too busy, I can get on the phone. But also, if I really need to be seen or if my therapist feel like, okay, I want you to come in next week because it's been a while, I can hear your voice is a little bit shaky. It was, like, iffy a little, I guess.
Okay.
I actually just started therapy. So all throughout this pandemic, I was just a wreck. So, like I said, I just started, and my first appointment, I did it in person, so they can like see how I am and my body language and whatever else is going on. They could physically see me, but. For follow-up like sessions, I just do it over Zoom because I have a busy work schedule, and it's really nice because it's like a pause in my busy work day and like, how you doing? Like, you doing all right? So yeah.
I was gonna say I actually like stopped my therapy during the COVID pandemic. Before I was doing therapy like from my junior year of college, to like my second year of my master's, because my master's is school counseling, and so for my master's program, you have to like have a counselor, and so when we went for COVID, I just said I'm gonna take a break and then I'll go back.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too, John. For anyone that is getting into counseling, knowing that that's part of the academic rigor is to have a counselor yourself. I am a therapist, 16 years in, and I still have a therapist myself. So just because I'm a therapist and I try to help others doesn't mean that I don't have self-care for myself. So I want to erase those stigmas as well. And with that being said, I wanted to ask Rhonda, you being a professional and president of NAACP, and you see all these young people up here sharing their stories, their experiences with COVID, with mental health. Like, how do you, as a leader of a community, engage and deal with young people on those levels?
I am not only the leader of NAACP, I'm an educator. So I've been a teacher for 35 years, and I've seen a lot, and I've heard a lot. At one point, right before the pandemic, I was driving to the suburb to see my therapist. And it really made a difference. I just felt overwhelmed with life, and as an educator, you're not just a teacher, you're a counselor, you're a doctor, you're everything to these children. And so you have to step out of your own self and think of others and go make home visits and talk to parents and hear their struggles. And during COVID, of course, teachers, we were remote. And talking to my parents and hearing the stories, it was interesting because we had to contact our parents and see, your child hasn't been on Zoom. Can you tell me why? Do you have the link? Do you have a Chromebook? What do you need? How can I help you? And I talked to one of the parents who lived in one of the Oregon Keys, I think it was, or no, it's Concord. And she says, these kids are running around outside, and we're under a mandate to house, and they're not. And I was like, what? She said they're running all outside. These kids are at home, and it's domestic violence. There's drugs. What can you do to help? And I was like overwhelmed. And I couldn't get to my therapist. I did try the remote, with the Zoom. It didn't work for me. I'm a people person. I needed to sit in her face and talk to her. So it hit me in all different directions. As a leader, I wanted to let the children know that, especially high schoolers, that we cared about them, especially when it came to graduating seniors. So I got together with my first vice president, and we did yard signs for all the graduates. And that kind of helped, got me out. I could talk to the kids, and we were taking pictures with them and everything, so it made a difference. But if you don't mind, we have a special guest.
Oh, we want to bring somebody else in? Come
Yes.
on.
Oh, no,
Come
you
on.
stay.
Come on.
When we talk about vaccination and we talk about our youth, we are part of the same community here in Rockford.
Absolutely.
And we see this person on the news every day telling us to get vaccinated. Make sure that your children are being careful. And Dr. Montel and I had a very deep conversation about you youth and how we want to promote your art and your skills and your singing to get other youth out to get vaccinated, and why aren't you getting vaccinated, and what's going on. So I was really happy to see that she's here.
Awesome.
And host.
Dr. Martell, come on up.
Come on down.
For the Rockford area, Dr. Martell is she's the rock star, man. You know, if you're in the 815 zip code, you know. So we're gonna let her do her thing. She just speak freely.
She didn't prepare me for this, just so you know. She snuck up on me. But one of the opportunities when I saw the flyer and all of you sharing your experience of COVID and what that meant, and from a leader perspective, I'm going to share my anxiety, right? Yeah. So the minute they told me we were going to have this virus, we're going to shut people in, and they could die. And they're going to die quickly. And you got to take action quickly. And you got to get them to go along with the plan. Wow. I heard about y'all playing out there now. So I think you did a pretty good job. But as a leader and as a human being, right, I knew that I was responsible for all of you and to take the necessary actions. Sometimes it wasn't pretty. I know what they were saying on those blurbs, and I still get them when I go in. And what are you doing with a mask? And, you know, and at the end of the day, my goal was to try and not have you have COVID. Yeah. Now, was it, you know, is it 100%? Heavens no, but to hear that we have survivors, I'd like to get you down to under 5 times, please. That you know what you need to do. But there were things about COVID aside from the virus, right? So all of us were suffering through, and I heard some really important take-homes from all of you about mental health. So before the pandemic, we were working on mental health, and we were looking at depression, and suicide was identified in our community along with opioid overdose. You know, we get all the great marks. But I think the thing that I heard most was the importance of social connectedness. Yeah. That's what this virus really did to many of us, right? It took us out of social connectedness. The people, our tribe, but I'm going to say it's my buds. You know, I had college friends. We Zoomed recipes we'd try and cook. It was hysterical. I'd finally just say, no, I'm not cooking today. So I'm just going to sit and talk with all of you. But people that would check in with you, that was my tribe of group of people that kept me going, right? And I heard a lot about self-care. Each one of you had a different journey on self-care. There were commonalities, but people chose different routes, and it's all good, right? It's figuring out what do you need to do. So if you had a little cohort and the 4 of you had dinner together and you knew who they were and that was your tribe, you know, I kept saying keep in your cohort, keep that number of contacts small but meaningful. So that social connectedness piece was critical. And so if you're struggling with mental health, you know, just like any other thing we're going to struggle with, whether it's diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, you know, whatever that is, you need to reach out. And there are people there that can help. We heard different ways of people connecting with their therapist. I was pleased to hear some people like more in person, some people like remote. Journaling is another thing that you can do. Spirituality, we're in a place of worship. So that was another challenge. I mean, faith is an important journey for many of us in terms of how do we cope and deal. So that social connectedness. The other thing I heard about purpose-driven life, right? And we say that kind of like a cliche, but all of you expressed what your personal purpose, what you felt that it was. It may not be your forever purpose, but you had that purpose at that time for what that was, whether it was making sure that your parents stayed healthy, grandma was good, that your roommates were safe, right? That was your purpose. So self-care, social connectedness, and purpose-driven. So when we talk about all that you accomplished through all of that, you have lived through a historical time. You will be the history writers on that. You will share that when you're a counselor in school, and they'll say, what was it like during the pandemic? You know, what was that like? What did you do? What do you mean you couldn't go out? You know, what does it mean you couldn't go to the grocery store? You could only do certain things during certain hours. What did that mean? And I think that the other part that we kind of talk about this, we are all in community, right? So the things that we did were for each other. It wasn't just for our selfish, right? The reason you didn't go and do some things was to protect the rest of the community. So I think that you don't know your value as influencers. I know you all know social media, and I know there's, you know, the TikTok and what are we gonna eat and what are we gonna do and who's got the most fancy clothes. But more importantly, you're influencers on much more important things, which is amongst each other. We talk about vaccination. I would remiss if I'm the health officer and I don't tell you about vaccination, the availability. Yes, we'll be honest about anyone who's been vaccinated with COVID. Yeah, it's a little rough that first, 24 hours. But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot less rough than what was described.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you can tough it out for 24 hours, right? You can tough it out for 48. I don't know if I could tough it out for 2 months. And we don't know what long COVID is. So it becomes important for us as the elders and those of wisdom, that we protect them, right? Because we want to make sure that you don't get COVID and that you don't have long COVID. We don't know what in 25 years that might do. Our goal is to decrease it. You can't live in anxiety. You did the best you could with what you could at the time. We all did what we had to do. But I think that that's something we can give to each other as the elders and the wisdom, and you can give to us as the young and the influencers, right? How can you influence more? Because our vaccination rates are abysmal. Abysmal would be the term. So, whether you want to go on to your next life and career, and we want you on college campuses enjoying that social life, or whether you're going into work environments where you're going to be with others, we need to make sure, because we can't always count on our other colleagues to protect. So you got to think about that self-care first piece. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank for the very meaningful stories that you all shared.
Thank you, Dr. Martell. So we're going to let John give us a little pick us up with the music, and we'll get ready for our second half of the panel. And also, we'll get some questions from the audience and comments from social media. So at this time, John, we're going to let you go and get us back in the mood. Thank you, Dr. Martell.
All right, I'm actually going to do a song I wrote. He said I'm going to do a pick-me-up, but it ain't going to be a pick-me-up. Yeah, I'm going to sing. I'm a little ignorant, but I like to have fun. We're going to do Exit. Yeah, but give me 1 second. I got to get ready, get a little water. All right, I'm ready. Actually, can you restart it and then pause it? My name is John Stanford. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm a singer and I'm a songwriter. I live in Milwaukee, but I'm from Rockford, Illinois. I wrote this song maybe about, I don't know if it was at the beginning of COVID or right before it. But the song I wrote, the message, the music speaks to me, and I hope that you enjoy it. If you like it, it will be out soon. You can follow me on Instagram at johnstanford_1, and I'll always keep you updated. All right, there we go. I've tried to find my way out of here. I tried to find my way out of fear. This had to be the most difficult year. All I know is that you were here. No, oh, oh, oh. Oh, with the life I have lived, and with this gift I could give, time will have to put me first. And I know sometimes it will hurt. Go away from me. Oh, God wants you to go away from me, 'cause I was hurting. That's why I left, because I couldn't face you. I tried to fix everything on my own, but in the process, I forgot me. I tried to change everything else around me, but I had to realize I'm not God. Thank you.
We're going to get this thing started back up. We get any questions and comments from the audience? Well, I will say this. Miss Keisha. I really thoroughly enjoy to hear from young people, because most of the time, they don't feel like they're heard, and they feel judged. And so anytime I get a chance to talk to young people, I just love to hear their perspective on things. So I'm going to start my next question off until I get my comments. You got it? Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you do that.
So one of the questions that we wanted to ask was, what differences did you guys see in the grocery stores during COVID-19? I would say specifically like produce and things like that. So I'm asking y'all.
You asking me? Oh, what difference did I see in the grocery store? I don't think I visited a grocery store as much during the pandemic. I think only when I have to. And I just didn't see any difference. I saw probably it wasn't full like it is now. I can say what I see now is like overabundance of people. It's like where they come from. So, but for me, grocery stores wasn't any different for me.
For me, I didn't see any kids. You know, when you're in a grocery store, you always see kids crying, "Mommy, I want this, I want that." No kids. The elderly did shop earlier, so when I went in, there was no elderly there. It was basically young adults and myself. I did see a lot of young people shopping for their elderly grandparents and parents, and that's about the difference I've seen. Oh, and no toilet paper.
I want to comment on. Wait. I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Speak
I think
into
it
the
just
mic.
keeps going in and out. So not only did I notice a lot of the grocery stores shutting down for some odd reason. I mean, is it really odd? But really odd. And a lot of grocery stores were closing in the urban communities. So it was like, okay, if my main source of food is, right down the street, and then they tear it down, and now I have to go to a grocery store miles over, like, how am I going to have the food security that I need? And if I don't have food security, then my mind is certainly not going to be right. So it's like I've noticed a lot of grocery stores closing, and also the produce was not good. The produce was spoiled. There wasn't enough, or they have GMOs in it. It's genetically modified. So it's like not only are we not getting enough nutrition or enough food, but we have to go hours, well, not hours, miles away in order to get sufficient food. So I noticed that was a huge issue, and prices went up a lot. And if you live in America, we don't get paid enough. We don't make a livable wage. So with price being an issue as well as bad produce, overall it's just not good, especially on the mental, like I said.
Anybody else? What was your experience in the grocery store? Anybody else? Go ahead.
Because we don't realize, like y'all said, I didn't notice any difference, but it was a major difference, especially in urban communities, to where they didn't have the same access to groceries and good produce as other sides of the town. And then you have people who don't have transportation, or they can't afford Ubers, they can't afford the Instacart, they can't afford that. So what does that do to them mentally? On top of, okay, if I don't have these things and I can't get these things, I'm not providing for my kids, or I'm not providing for myself. I'm not eating the proper things. I'm eating what is available to me, which may just be noodles or something like that. It may be something that you have to make up every single time because you don't have access to those grocery stores or just to produce, period. So.
Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna go off script a little bit. Keisha, can you do me a favor? Let me hear from a parent out here. Let me hear from a parent that what was your experience like during the COVID, dealing with the grocery stores, dealing with your students, your loved ones, older parents. What was your experience like? Anybody?
Anyone?
Come on now.
Okay.
We can't be afraid now. Come on. Y'all ain't on the camera, so just speak in the mic.
I'm Kavaja's mom and Kevin's wife. So as a parent, our son, he was his senior year, and that was really tough, trying to keep him focused. And as far as the groceries go, I did all the grocery shopping. So you go in the store and it's like, I've never seen the shelves black. I've never seen the freezers like black. I mean, we couldn't even find ice cream. Me and my friend would call and say, does the Walmart on the east side have what the west side is lacking? By the time you get over there, it's gone. So it was stressful, especially trying to provide like snacks and stuff for him, because I know mentally it was like overwhelming for him. But I also think at the same time, I think the RPS did a great job of delivering food like at the bus stops, or they had different places set up where parents could get snacks where it's in walking distance. But it was definitely stressful, worrying about what your kid is thinking. Is he learning enough? Is he going to be prepared for college? It definitely was a struggle.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else about your experience?
I think sometimes we don't realize how much, as we're talking about mental health, it can impact us physically. So my kids, you see them here wiggling around 6 and 8, they'd have breakfast, and then they get on their Zoom, and in the middle of their Zoom, like 15 minutes later, I'm hungry. You just had a full breakfast. What you mean you hungry? Mm-hmm. But we saw that in our grocery bill, trying to accommodate and provide snacks and things that, like, they're anxious because they don't get out and, interact with their friends or be able to be at school and have a different environment. And food can be one of those accommodations that you go to, like, well, I'm gonna eat more, I'm gonna do this, and it's not always the grapes. It can be those chips and stuff that's not healthy. But I think mentally as a parent, it's like, how do I, kind of balance that for my kids? And what they can't articulate and tell me that they're experiencing, like, I'm having cabin fever, I need to get out of here, in the form of, like, I need snacks, I need to do this. It caused a change, to make us kind of look at that more carefully, to try to provide for them, but still make sure that they were okay as they were trying to navigate just as we were.
Thank you for sharing that. Before we come back up here to this panel right here, let me hear from the pastors. Like, what was the effect on the church? Oh, I want to hear from the pastors right over here in the front. What was the, let his wife speak too, she can speak too. What was the effect on the church? And then also, from a wife's perspective, what was it like, just dealing with that in your home?
Well, what it was like dealing with it in a home, it was kind of twofold because we are pastors and then we have our home. When you were referring to the grocery store, we grocery shop as a family. And when COVID originally started, we just seen lines around the grocery store. So like you said, the elderly went at a certain time. So the times that the elderly went, was originally the times that we used to go. So we had to switch that up. So it went from all of us going in the store to one of us going in the store, which my husband felt at that time it was more comfortable with him because everything was so new. There was just not a lot of information about COVID. So I remember him standing outside for a long time, trying to wait to get in the store. So that was my remembrance of grocery shopping. As a family, there was a lot of sanitizing going on at home. A lot of cleaning, constant cleaning. Stocks of masks and Microban and wipes and hand sanitizer, things, we're already clean, but it took our consciousness of cleanliness to a whole nother level as a family. Who we were around, and I know my husband, pastor, is going to speak on it as a church family, but that was a whole nother thing for us, having to, close our church because it's our family. And that was a big thing, but go ahead.
Yeah, listening to the panel, just the impact of COVID. When the churches shut down, we were doing online church, obviously, and the great thing about that transition is we had already started our online church ministry, streaming. We started that a year prior to COVID. So when it shut down, we had already had the technology and the setup to just transition right into that. So we appreciated the fact that we were, already in that area. And so then we started to have outside church, parking lot church, where people would come and they would, praise God in their parking lot, and we would preach actually from the doors,
from the ramp.
From the ramp there. We would preach up there, and people would be out in the parking lot and in the cars, and one time it rained.
Yes,
I think the first time it rained,
and singing in the
and we
rain.
just preached and sang in the rain. And so it was an amazing experience because you just saw the people persevering
Yes.
Yeah.
throughout, a very tribulation, moment in time. And so we had that. And then when we opened up the doors for the church, because there was a time where, places began to open. And one thing that we are not is bandwagon people. Well, they're doing it. Well, we got to do it. We don't do that. We really took a lot of prayer and discussion and just really, seeking the Lord on what should we do. And at some point we did open up, and you see how the chairs are here. what we did is we had tables. We had tables, and you sit with your family, and they were distanced. They were about, I want to say, 12 to 15 feet apart,
Yeah.
and so masks were required, unlike some people or preachers were saying that, masks were the mark of the beast. We don't believe that masks were the mark of the beast. We believe that masks were masks.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of a simple church, praise God, And so and so we appreciated the vaccine because we prayed for the vaccine.
Amen.
We didn't believe that the vaccine was the mark of the beast. We've been vaccinated and boosted, and we still can pray and still glorify God. It didn't stop us at all. So we appreciated that. And so with that said, we just want to encourage people. We had pastors and friends of ours that are gone on and passed away. And so dealing with some people never coming back to physical church because of that, and really being challenged there. So it was very, very challenging. Not only just you have your church organization and family, but also you have your own personal family that you're trying to protect and trying to navigate through that. So we thank God that here we are today.
Amen. And what we did realize, and I think a lot of people across the world, is along with the first responders, when people caught COVID that did have a pastor, they called their pastor, then they called the ambulance. So a lot of pastors were also on the front line with the first responders. And we did experience that firsthand with getting those calls and telling people, okay, go to the doctor, go to the hospital. So it was multidimensional for people that are in ministry.
Yeah, and what's interesting is people in our church had it, and one person in particular was hospitalized, and we prayed her through, and just an actual walking miracle. Yeah. We thank God for that. And today, if you were to see her, you wouldn't have even never known that she was, the doctors were grim report. I mean, you would have never known it. So we praise God. We caught it, and we thank God that
all before the vaccine.
We
couldn't get the vaccine yet.
We couldn't get the vaccine yet, and so we thank God that we were able to overcome that, and just be able to keep, moving, encouraging people, and spreading the gospel. So,
thank you, everybody. Awesome. We're going to finish up in a few seconds here, a few minutes here, but I do have a few more questions, a couple comments from the audience. But I will say this is that who knew that we'll be celebrating MLK talking about mental health and COVID. And when he set out to do what he did, which was to bring unity, he also didn't envision bringing unity through COVID. And so we want to be thankful for the community, the churches, the cities that came together, and all of us that came together to get through, and we're still working through it, but to get through the bigger issue of it, I guess I can say it that way. And now that we sit here, we don't have masks, some do, but that's beside the point, is that we're still here. Because it took out a lot of people. And so just be thankful that we're still here. We don't have to be here, but he chose us to still be here. So give yourself a hand. So I got a couple more questions for our panel. And one of the comments was, one question was asked, what message lesson would you share with your younger self? Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Go ahead.
The lesson I would say to my younger self, time is important. I lost a lot of people before COVID and after COVID. It made me look within myself and say, what do Keisha like? What do Keisha want to do? Being at my age now, I wish I would have asked that question younger. Mm-hmm. But COVID did make me ask that question. So that's one of the questions I would say, listen, time, the elderly people always told me, you're going to be 20, then you're going to be 50. And you're going to say, where did that time go? So take the time for yourself. It's so important. That's what I would tell my younger self. Like, take time and do the things that you love, not what you have to do all the time. Not just do what you want to do in boundaries, of course, but just take the time out for yourself. And also love yourself as you are. It's okay. And that's what's important. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Wow, thank you. Anybody else?
Okay. I think I would tell my younger self that just because you make mistakes doesn't mean that you're on the wrong path. Because, you know, it's, for me, I use the example of you may be driving to work and then you have to take a detour. You're still going to get to work, but you just have to take a detour. So I would tell myself to be patient with my mistakes, be patient with my growth, because when you're growing, it is painful, and we feel like, since it's not physical pain, well, for me, I feel like it's physical sometimes, but we feel like since we can't see it physically, then it's not, the pain is not there. So I would just tell myself to really be patient and accept the journey for what it is, because everything is required to complete that journey.
I would say, I guess I'm trying to make up a saying to make it work, but it's like, live fearlessly, but be prepared for death, because death is inevitable. Yeah. So like during the pandemic, my mama stayed on me. My mama is always on me. And literally, me and my friends, she always on me, because she'll be like, yo, friend, they ain't got life insurance? What's wrong with them? I ain't finna be selling no chicken dinners. And so, and you know, she talking in real life, because like, that's the true game that we're not taught. Yeah. Like if you get life insurance when you're young, it's cheaper, and you can get like a whole life insurance policy. And so like I can pay like $20 a month for the rest of my life because I got it when I'm young, versus like me waiting until, you know, I done lived and now I got lung cancer because I done smoked all the weed on the world. And because, you know, a lot of times people just say, live, go have fun and live. And that's true, but you have to also be prepared for the end. And I think COVID taught us that, like, it could take us out at any moment. You know, we don't have this entire life that a lot of people plan out. Like, just live. Like, even if it's just for a little moment, go live, go have fun. Every moment is necessary. So, yeah.
Thank you, John. Anybody? Oh, Ms. Rhonda, go ahead. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, my younger self. She's still lingering around somewhere. But health and equality, they come hand in hand. And as this wonderful John, beautiful voice, stated, that you have to get all your ducks in a row. You have to make sure that you have that life insurance and those things that doesn't overwhelm your family. Yeah. Because that is a serious matter. And when we don't put those things in place, you know, and a lot of times, especially in the African American family, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about death, but it's real. You know, I would say to my son, I said, hey, you know, I have everything set up if something happens to me, so go here in this file cabinet and everything is labeled. He says, Mom, I don't want to talk about that. So we have to have those conversations.
Absolutely. I agree.
Health and equality.
Health and equality.
Got me a mic over here. You know, I cut it on quick. You know, I cut it off and then I cut it right back on. So I would say, as a growing adult, I would say that I'm learning that I have to parent myself So really, in my mind, I still feel like a child, or at least that I'm still taking care of my inner child. I'm taking care of myself, okay?
Good.
I'm parenting myself. So there's always a lot to learn, and I'm still learning. Um, I guess if I was to have a quote or a takeaway to tell my younger self, it'd be, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay not to ask for help.
There you go.
So that's what I'll say. You know,
All right.
still learning.
I like that. I like that.
I'm actually very like blessed and humble to say that I have like no regrets. I had to like I would say thank you to my younger self because although it was tough, she kept going and she helped me get to where I am today and prepared me for life's like oh my god, you just never know what life is gonna throw at you, and like I would not be like able to just sit here and be like as strong as I am without the battles that I went through as my younger self, battling through depression, suicidal thoughts. Like I'm here and I'm able to say that and I'm able to be here and say God helped me through it. I remember crying to him and just asking to just help me get through it, and I'm here. I got through it, and honestly, I would say like I thought that was tough and I thought it was hard, but I'm able to say that I'm happy that I went through that stuff because really that had nothing like before what I went through, it has nothing on what I'm going through now. You know, like it's like it had nothing. Like, okay, yeah, it was tough then, but when I look back, I'm like, dang, I'd rather deal, you know, like some of the stuff I'm dealing with now, I'm like, that's crazy. But honestly, when I was dealing with that anxiety and that depression, it helped me advocate for others. And because I was able to advocate for others, I now know how to advocate for myself. I know how to help myself. I'm going to just mention this because I haven't really mentioned it really to people. But recently on October 24th, I lost my cousin who's like my very, very best friend to gun violence. And she died at 19. I'm 18 years old. So that helped me like I was like at a point where I'm like, what do I do? I speak for other people. I speak up for gun violence when it's other people. But to sit and have to like say like, what do I do? You know, I had to help pick out her casket. I had to help pick out her urn. You know, and I had to drive down and like help. It was so crazy. They lost her body. It was like so much that I had to deal with, and I would never been able to deal with that if I wouldn't fought what I had to fight when I was younger, you know? If I would have gave up, I wouldn't have to, you know? I wouldn't be able to be there for my family. I wouldn't be able to be there and speak up for the youth who can't speak up for themselves. So I'm very, very thankful and I'm very humble that my younger self fought and got me to where I am today.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. We proud of you. We proud of you. Yeah.
I would just say, take the help when needed and speak up and don't always hold in your feelings and what you're going through. And just really care about your mentor and actually let things out and not always hold things in to let it hold you down.
Oh, right on point. I'm not going to let you off. What would you tell your younger self?
I just said.
Oh, so I guess it's me then, right? Oh, well. I'll say, y'all trying to turn it on me. I think I would just say patience, you know. Take what's given, you know, learn from the mistakes, you know, because when I was younger, I didn't learn from them. I made them over and over until it came to a head. But, you know, just really patience. And I will say this off the record is humanity is so important. And the separatism that we have, everybody's separate in their own corner, in their own sect, you know, in their own community. I think we all need each other. And so I think that we just need to keep coming together. I love these type of atmospheres. And so I just thank you guys for allowing us to be a part of this. I will say this. I got to give a shout out before I give it to Kavasia so we can end. On February 11th, I will be partnering with another podcast to bring mental health to the forefront for men. We want to talk to men from age 12 and up. We want to impart values of life again, we're not talking about separatism. We're not separating men and women. But for me to be a young man, I see a lot of young men that don't have direction. And so we want to give them something to hold on to. And so February 11th, if you guys know any young man, it's free, totally free. February 11th at the Norloff Center downtown. Send your kids, you can drop them off. It doesn't matter. We want to be able to speak into these young men's lives because I didn't have a father growing up. So I had a grandfather that raised me. And I'm going to tell you this. It's most disappointing to me is that he couldn't read, he couldn't write. When he retired, his retirement check was $28. That's how I learned how to be a man, because I knew that that wasn't what I wanted for myself. So we need to teach and help our young men learn how to be young men. It will help an entire humanity if we do that and if we do it together. So again, thank you guys for allowing us to do this. I truly appreciate it. And without further ado, Kavasia, I'll let you have it.
So we're just kind of going to, John's going to come and give us one more selection, and we'll be able to kind of talk more about the music and art piece of how we got through COVID. We want to talk to Kid Griffey more, and talk to Trishida more just about the different things that we see as the younger people and the things that we would like to address. So, John?
All right, y'all, so I've been taking y'all in all day, but right now, I'm actually going to do a song that I love to do, and my cousin is going to come up here, Al. And if y'all want to, y'all could dance. It's one of the best songs in the world. It's Before I Let Go. So if you like it, sing along, dance. You know, we got a couple line dances. Y'all know it. We at the picnic, whatever. Have fun.
Sing jazz.
You going to sing? Oh, you always going to sing Jazz Sullivan? Try to run it. You're off the leash, run me my... No, I ain't gonna do that. I do need y'all to dance, though. Have fun. We gonna do it. If I crack, I crack. It's all right. Can y'all clap for me at least? Oh, ba 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 da ba. This mic got reach. Ba da ba. Ba 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 da ba. You make me happy. This you can tell. You stood right beside me, and I won't forget. Said I really love you. You should know. I want to make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. Now we've had our good times. That's not the same. We've hurted each other. Yeah, girl, I'm to blame. Said I won't be foolish, no. I wanna know. I wanna make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. Yeah. You know, I think the sun rises and shines on you. Oh. You know there's nothing I would not do. Oh, no. Before I let you go. Y'all like that? Oh. I will never, 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 never let you go before I know. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you. One more? All right, I'm going to do my last one. Oh, no. All right, I will let you know I am so happy to be back in Rockford. It's my hometown, like I said, so it's just always good to be back and to share my gift. But I don't know if this is my last song, but I'm prepared for it like it is my last song. And I know that ain't Mr. Gilbert. That was my ACT prep teacher down at Booker Washington Center, so we thank God for him. But my last song I'm going to do is actually going to be called A Change Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. Listening to the panelists today, it gave me inspiration. Young lady, you are powerful. From Guilford, amazing. Keep going. It's so hard out here. Give her a round of applause. You did not have to be here on a Saturday, but you're here. That's something. All right, if I could just get a little more on my mic. I was born by the river in a little tent, like that river I've been running on ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living. I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there behind the skies. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Should I go to the movies and I go downtown? Somebody keep telling me, oh, don't come around. It's been a long time coming, but I know, a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Oh, then I go to my brother. I say, brother, 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 help me please. Oh, but then he winds up knocking me on down to my knees. Whoa, there are times that I thought I would last for too long, Lord. Somebody give me the strength I need to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. 'Cause I know that better days are coming. Oh, yes, they are. Thank you.
John said he wasn't gonna come and cut up, but he did anyway. So, thank you, John. I really appreciate it. Every time we go out to sing or anything, John don't care. John do not care. So, but I'm thankful. Thank everybody for coming out. We had a good time just being vulnerable and being able to speak and share with each other and bond. I hope that everyone is able to network, get to know the person next to you, the person across from you. You may need that person one day. So, because I need Miss Rhonda right here. So, without further ado, Miss Rhonda.
We just want to thank everyone, Pastor. You guys are just phenomenal. I mean, you're a powerful team, and please continue pushing in our community. I also would like all the NAACP members to please stand. Thank you for the hard work and the support that you give this organization. And if you're not a member, come and join us. There's much work to be done. Dr. Martin Luther King, today, he would have been very proud of these youth. Yes. And he would tell them to push on and push on and lead this community. Yes. And so as we grow, they grow. But we want them to grow bigger, right? Yeah. We want them to push harder and to lead. And thank you, Kavasia, for leading today. You did a phenomenal job, and I'm so proud of you. And I always question you, now what are you gonna do next? and then, you know, you had support from your father. You were awesome. Ms. Hui, you did your thing too. And for the panel, my heart is with you. Come join NAACP. We got a lot of work to do, and we need your leadership. I cannot walk off this stage without saying Happy Founders Day to the Divine Nine, especially to Alpha Kappa Alpha, Sorority Incorporated. Can we say that together? Especially to Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated. And I want to say hi. I see some sorrows here, and thank you for your support too. Paulette Gilbert, thank you. We all learn from each other, and I've learned so much from you, Paulette, so I just have to give you that shout out. And thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and go out to some Dr. Martin Luther King celebrations and learn some history.
I'm sorry, one last thing. I wanted to thank Mentality Unchained for hosting. Make sure you guys tune in to Mentality Unchained. It is a Black-owned podcast. It's here in Rockford. It's growing. You can see a lot of people from Rockford who have interviews on Mentality Unchained. If you want to be interviewed, inquire. No, I'm just playing. I try to be the manager, but I'm not. But really, make sure that you all are tuning in. We have a lot of good local artists here. Make sure that you are supporting the artists, supporting the youth, supporting us with academics in any way that we can, and just collaborate with us. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Yeah, you will be seeing this artwork. We're going to use some of this artwork to promote people getting vaccinated for COVID-19.